So I wanted to circle back around after like a day or so to kind of stew on it a bit with the Game Awards and really what my thoughts were on it, because it's certainly drawing a lot of criticism online for multiple different reasons. And I do think this is a very difficult show to put together. And before I really get into a lot of the criticisms and stuff, Jeff Keighley, I'm sure, is trying his best to really satisfy all different parts of the equation for this show. But I, really looking back on it now and thinking about it, the Game Awards itself just seems confused. It doesn't really know what it is, has a bit of an identity crisis, and I wanted to talk a bit about that here today. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. So to get started, I think it's pretty obvious at this point with where we are with the show, Jeff has been trying to make the Oscars of video games, that kind of award show, right? And it is still strange to me just kind of where the gaming industry is currently versus the film industry, because it should kind of be the other way around now, right? Video games are just so much larger in terms of its entertainment medium than film. Like it's astounding actually how far video games have come from when I remember being younger and, like a Sega Genesis or a Super Nintendo, and those kind of being off in the corner, off to the side for all kinds of different entertainment that was more mainstream and accepted. But now gaming is as accepted as ever. And in fact, it seems to be the form of entertainment that a lot of creators are gravitating towards. And I would say it's in a much better place currently than what we see with film. So it's odd to me that Jeff continues to chase the Oscars. Like, for example, I brought this up in Direct Xbox, a podcast Nate and I have around Xbox. And I mentioned that the show itself looks incredibly professional and buttoned up for something that's just, it's about video games. And I understand, again, video games come a long way, right? But when you think about it, it is odd that there is this big award show where it would be out of place to wear a gaming shirt to it. Again, the idea of trying to mirror the Oscars just seems like a strange idea. You should try to be your own thing, a balance between the two, right? Sure, professionalism, but then also kind of have that twist that's like, yes, this is a video game award show. It just feels like an award show that's like, oh yeah, we also do video game stuff. Feels a little too stuffy, a little too buttoned up. Also, this weird, like, over-the-top professionalism and Oscar look has gotten to a point where even, like, a small joke from Christopher Judge on stage about Call of Duty being shorter than his acceptance speech last year, like, that was out of place. Apparently that was a big deal, which is weird because one, Call of Duty was short. I don't think anyone's like disagreeing with that. But two, I mean, you go from trying to be professional, then having Gonzo run around on stage, and again, it's mixed messaging across the board. And then you bring celebrities in, and it feels less and less like a video game award show, and it just seems like we've gotten further and further away from the video games and more into Hollywood the further along we've gone. Now, I will say there are many people from Hollywood, like actors, directors, all right, that are getting more and more involved with games. And again, it makes sense when you see the state of the gaming industry and how much money flows through it. You're going to go in that direction. But it feels like we see the flashy stars come over and they immediately are the ones presenting things because they're recognizable. And this all comes around to this being a business, especially the Game Awards. It is all about the bottom line for this thing, and that's why you see the amount of ads, that's why you see the professionalism, and it is something that I know Jeff he's trying so hard to balance this entire thing. You have to also remember, all those game reveals you see, whether it's like Monster Hunter, for example, or a brand new intellectual property, or something that's shown by these big-time publishers and developers, that all costs them money to be there. Now, I'm sure they have different rates depending on maybe their notoriety, but it's not free to showcase a game. Again, all this going together in more of the business side of things as opposed to just the Game Awards side for recognizing and celebrating games. But I've wondered if what if the Game Awards show wasn't this big, flashy, over-the-top looking thing, massive stage, all these guests and stuff? Would they be able to run this entire thing, just a fun concept, out of like a living room or something, and still get a sizable audience? Probably. And that's just because it comes down to being about the games and, yeah, the people behind them. Like, some people made a big deal about Sea of Stars winning Best Independent Game, and that was just a very quick afterthought, almost just a quick card read, one line on the teleprompter, and you're off and moving from there. And then you have different people, whether it's from Hollywood or even some people just showcasing their game on stage, taking 5 to 10 minutes. The whole Kojima thing, while again the game is we'll say intriguing at this point, that did go on for quite a while. And yeah, I know Jordan Peele came out and he explained stuff without ever saying a thing about the game, really. That took up a lot of time, and I noticed it. Everyone on the stream with me noticed it. And then it was time to give out an award, and apparently each person who went up on stage was given about 60 seconds, and then you heard the music playing, right, to just try to push them along a bit. Apparently there was something on the teleprompter that said basically wrap it up. So they got like the wrap it up box from the Chappelle show and just kind of taped it up there. There were 2 instances of this specifically that seemed to draw a lot of anger online. One was when E.G. Aonuma was accepting the award Best Action Adventure Game for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and as he's sort of going through his, he looked like he had kind of a script or something written down on his phone, just some lines, I guess, for the acceptance speech. The music starts playing, because obviously he's going through, he's trying to, okay, well, I guess we'll kind of stop there. And it felt very, very quick for a legendary producer. But the one that actually had a pretty severe impact was Larian. So Boulders Gate 3 wins at the end of the show. Game of the year, big deal, right? Because technically, yeah, you could look at this, say that was an independent game. It went up against The Legend of Zelda, Resident Evil 4, the Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, big-time games, and then here comes Boulders Gate 3 taking the award, and they come up on stage. One guy had a suit of armor, so to me, that plays into the spirit of video games. That's what I would like to see at these awards show. People in suits of armors, or, God forbid, a video game logo on their shirt. It's a weird time when Kojima is the most normal person at a video game show just because he has the OD logo on his shirt when he's up on stage. But, you know, they come up to the microphone, they start talking about colleagues that they lost during development, and I feel like it was maybe 5 seconds after that, the music starts playing, and he's kind of being like, okay, let's get things moving here, which is weird because it was at the end of the show, right? So it's odd that they would be kind of ushered off or sped up a bit. It's kind of just like, hey, let him go. But apparently, they were supposed to announce that Baldur's Gate 3 was live for the Xbox Series X and S immediately. It was like a shadow drop. They said, hey, if we win an award, which, I mean, it was between, let's be real, it was between Baldur's Gate 3 and Zelda, and a lot of people were leaning towards Baldur's Gate. When we're up there on the microphone, we will say, pick it up now on the Xbox. Apparently, they forgot, and I have a feeling that maybe when they were kind of being sped up a bit, okay, hurry up, get this done, that it kind of slipped their mind because they're like, oh, who else do we have to thank? And they kind of go to the correct place, right, to start giving credit and recognizing people. That's a big moment to kind of miss out on for themselves and technically Xbox. So yeah, that wrap it up sign affected more than just recognizing people. It just eliminated an entire spur of the moment announcement that plays into the business side of things. And to me, what this all comes down to is this is a winter E3 that masquerades as an award show. Would they still get the number of people tuning in if there were no big announcements and it was just them giving out awards and allowing people to do 5 or 10-minute speeches after winning? Of course not. It just wouldn't get that kind of traffic. But would the show be better? Especially since it would probably only be like an hour and a half at max, maybe 2 hours if they really push it. Maybe? That was another big thing, is it was just not as... It was tough to tolerate how long this show was going. We streamed for like 4 hours, it felt like. It was a long time for what seemed like only a couple of awards being given out on stage, with the rest of them just kind of being they just breeze right by a lot of these, right? Just reading them off and highlighting the winner there. So it's tough because you need the announcements to bring the traffic but you need the awards to disguise the E3 during the winter time. So it technically has to go together, I guess. Although technically you could just say, hey, it's winter E3 or it's winter Games Fest or something, and people would still show up. So I feel like this is something that Jeff could separate, believe it or not. I almost wonder if he could do a weekend as opposed to a single Thursday during the week. Couldn't you do something where you have like an award show and then like a winter game fest, like a Saturday and then a Sunday, tie it all together in one big, like, incredible weekend event? I feel like that's something you could do and might be the path forward for this kind of thing. Although he's trying hard to make this work in like a one night 3 to 4 hour block. So maybe the stubbornness just wins out and eventually he figures out that cadence, but it's gonna be the 10th year next year. Like, they're gonna have a whole anniversary. Maybe that's like a 5-hour show at this point. But basically he's been doing this and attempting to make this work across the board for 10 years then into next year. And we still have the same set of events happen. The award show happens, people tend to just not be very happy with it. There's a lot of criticism over it, and it's like, well, we'll figure it out next year. We'll take these criticisms into account. However, despite this happening every year, one other thing continues to happen, and that's increased viewership. In fact, last year, they ended up having 103 million streams of the Game Awards. So despite all the issues people have with the show, it's becoming increasingly popular every single year. So it does show that despite all the frustrations at time with the awards show, I do think we all, for the most part, genuinely enjoy having something like this to look forward to at the end of the year. But it does also call into question, well, how motivated would Jeff be to drastically change what he has, considering it continues to work year over year? But let me know what you guys think about this down below. And yeah, leave some suggestions in the comments as to how maybe they could work to improve the Game Awards show, because the thing I will give about Jeff, he does actually pay attention. Like, he doesn't just like block people and kick them off of streams or something, or any of the feedback sessions he'll do on X or YouTube. He'll genuinely listen, and I feel like he does at least try to understand where the viewers are coming from and try to shape and mold the show as best as possible, versus, of course, the overhead that it takes to make it with the logistics and the revenue it tries to bring in to cover that, and yeah, profit from advertisers. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.